Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones. First tonight, power crews were out all day trying to get the lights back on after the storm last night, and judging by the numbers, their work paid off. Some areas were hit particularly hard by the high wind and rain, including Hancock County. Those winds knocked down multiple trees and limbs, which in turn caused outages. Versant said earlier that they'd hoped to have electricity restored to most customers by 10 o'clock tonight. Well, as of 9:30, Versant was reporting just over 600 customers were still without power. Central Maine Power was reporting only around 650 customers without power. Most of them are in Lincoln and Oxford counties, so definitely some big progress there. And with a little bit more on what we can expect, hopefully a much more peaceful overnight than what we experienced last night, let's turn things over to Jeff Weller and take a first look at our forecast.
All right, Beth, thank you. Happy Thursday, which means it's almost Friday. Your first weather is brought to you by Saliba's Rug Cleaners, Maine's largest for over 70 years. Let's talk about temperatures today. Highs under 40. We'll do this again tomorrow, but then a surge of warmer air gets in here on Saturday with rain showers and some locally heavy rain Saturday. The wind is finally beginning to pull back just a bit. Still out of the west around 16 to 10 miles per hour across our area. This will come down a bit tonight into tomorrow as well. A couple of sprinkles and flurries out there today. There's still a couple of ongoing tonight. They are beginning to fall apart, though, so not a big deal. We're dry tomorrow, followed by our next weather system getting in here on Saturday. It's going to be a wet one again with lots of rain on Saturday. For tonight, though, decreasing clouds under mostly clear skies, low temperatures in the 20s. Your full forecast is coming up. Beth?
Alrighty, Jeff, thanks so much. Well, a Deer Isle man and his girlfriend have been arrested on a slew of drug trafficking charges following an MDEA investigation. The agency says 42-year-old Dexter Bray and 42-year-old Heather Davis were both arrested on Wednesday and charged with aggravated trafficking of fentanyl. They say Bray was involved in a prior incident in which he was found with 3 firearms, 10 grams of fentanyl, and more than $3,000. That led to a search warrant for the couple's home, where investigators say they found 23 grams of fentanyl, 6 grams of crack cocaine, more than $16,000, and more than 40 firearms. The couple was held without bail while awaiting an appearance in Hancock County Superior Court. Maine State Police were called to the scene of a crash in Belgrade this morning involving a car and railroad equipment. It all happened on Route 27 in front of Hammond Lumber Company. A car driven by 83-year-old William Bachman of Smithfield was traveling south when he collided with a machine called a railroad tamper. As you can see in the pictures, the car sustained some pretty serious damage, and Bachman was transported to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The driver of the tamper, 19-year-old Bryce Willett, suffered minor injuries. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. And a third person has now been arrested in connection with a Penobscot County drug trafficking investigation. 25-year-old Dylan Ireland is charged with aggravated drug trafficking. Earlier today, Maine Drug Enforcement Agents seized an additional 482 grams of fentanyl from a Newport motel. 2 other people were arrested at the Maple Ridge Mobile Home Park in Corinna on Tuesday. Ireland's bail has been set at $10,000 cash. Well, a Wade man is facing drug trafficking charges after several months of investigation into the importation and sale of methamphetamine and fentanyl in Aroostook County. On Wednesday, Maine Drug Enforcement agents went to Wade and searched the Gardner Creek Road home of 56-year-old Daniel White. Now, according to MDEA Commander Peter Arno, agents found more than 2 pounds of suspected fentanyl, as well as a half pound of methamphetamine, more than $12,000 in suspected drug proceeds, and guns. Arno says the estimated street value of the drugs is approximately $245,000. White is being held at the Somerset County Jail, where he is being held on federal drug trafficking charges. Well, a Presque Isle man has died at the Maine State Prison in Warren. A spokesperson for the Maine Department of Corrections says that Robert Carney, who was 59 years old, died at around 7:20 on Wednesday night. The Maine Attorney General's office and the State Medical Examiner's office were called in as is standard procedure for deaths within the state prison system. Carney had been incarcerated since August of 2021 and was serving 20 years with all but 8 suspended for aggravated trafficking. Well, Well, switching gears now, the Maine Better Transportation Association held its 71st Maine Transportation Conference in Augusta. More than 700 transportation leaders gathered at the Civic Center, where members connected on the latest transportation news and shared some new technology as well. This is the first time the event has been held in person since 2019 due to the pandemic. The theme of this year's conference was Where Challenges Meet Opportunities, Maine's Unique Transportation Need. Maine Department of Transportation Commissioner Bruce Van Oat says it's important to highlight the significance that transportation has for our everyday lives.
It's fundamental. Everything we do every day, whether you ate breakfast this morning, it came on a truck or a train. You went to work today. Most of you probably drove in some kind of personal vehicle. It just affects everybody every day. It makes a huge difference, and this is a conference to highlight that fact.
Van Oat says that even though he doesn't have an idea of next year's theme, he'd like to talk about the successes of Maine's transportation industry. And there's some good news for patients and families at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center. The hospital has announced an expanded visitation schedule for the foreseeable future. Northern Light says they recognize the important role that loved ones play in the healing process, and they need to make sure to adhere to safety and screening requirements and be a part of the healing of their loved ones. Well, Health Equity Alliance is holding their annual World AIDS Day gathering tonight with the hopes of encouraging compassion, honoring history, and encouraging conversation. This comes after the Ellsworth City Hall reading of the 2022 World AIDS Day proclamation. When asked about the importance of the proclamation, advocates emphasized the need to educate.
Nobody's thinking about the community living with HIV/AIDS except for on these days anymore, and so the stigma builds, the education isn't there, we're not talking about it. So to dedicate a day of the year to say, this is a day we're going to think about it, we're going to talk about it, we're going to ask people about it, is a very important thing.
There's still a fight to be fought. There's still people to be taken care of. There's still our neighbors and loved ones and friends and family that still need our compassion and our thoughtfulness. And so it's something it's so wonderful that we've made progress, but it's nothing that's gone by the wayside.
For more details on that endeavor, you can visit their website, mainehealthequity.org, or you can find them on social media. And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, Health Equity Alliance is holding their annual World AIDS Day gathering, as we just talked about, and Northern Light Acadia Hospital hosts their second annual Lights of Life holiday tree lighting. Well, those stories and more when we come right back.
Hammond Lumber Company is honored to have again been named one of the best places to work in Maine. Hammond Lumber recognizes the importance of employee satisfaction. They provide a positive workplace environment with opportunities to grow. Hammond has continued to grow too, with more team members across Maine and New Hampshire. To find your place on the Hammond team, click on the careers link at hammondlumber.com. Hammond Lumber Company, proud to be one of the best places to work in Maine.
Even though Dorsey Furniture is known for our vast collections of quality home furnishings, sometimes we like to venture into the forgotten passageways and dark corners of our enormous warehouse to mine the odd nightstand, forgotten sofa, orphaned love seat, or the elusive discontinued mattress. Meanwhile, our sales manager, and not the bean counters, smash the original retail prices into tiny fractions of themselves. Dorsey Furniture, black tag sale going on now.
Hey, it's Eric from Green Bear 420. We've been in business since 2010 and going strong, so stop in and check us out. We specialize in glass art by over 100 local artists and even have live glass blowing. Plus, we carry incense, novelties, t-shirts, and hard-to-find items. We have tons of local products for the tie-dye wearing person in your circle of friends. Come see us at 531 Moosehead Trail in Newport. And remember, Green Bear 420, it's not just a store, it's a lifestyle.
Caleb Williams leads the Trojans' fight for a playoff bid as they take on Utah. The Pac-12 Championship, Friday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on Fox.
Hello, everyone. Coming up on the next Good Morning Maine, Governor Mills has announced new climate investments to protect Maine communities. It's also a measure that's expected to create jobs here in the state of Maine. We'll hear all about it. We'll also see what Mr. Food is whipping up in the test kitchen and your weather forecast. Looks like it will be nice tomorrow, but a little rain in the weekend.
Ground was broken today for a new fire station in the town of Newburgh. The existing station was built by volunteers and served the town for a lot of years, but an inspector found it needed extensive repairs that would be costly. The new fire station will be part of a municipal complex that already houses Newburgh's municipal offices. Voters approved $2.3 million for it back in June. Well, Senate President Troy Jackson and Speaker of the House-elect Rachel Talbot Ross have announced plans to create a new joint select committee on housing. They say it's in response to Maine's ongoing housing crisis, and the new committee's limited scope will allow members to focus solely on critical housing issues around the state. Senate President Jackson said, quote, "The housing crisis in this state is not a southern Maine problem or an Aroostook County problem. It's a Maine problem. Folks all across the state are struggling to find quality, affordable housing options that are close to work and are suitable for their families. It's adding to our workforce shortage and making it harder for employees to attract workers," end quote. Maine Housing reports the housing market has outpaced average household income in almost every county amid a shortage of houses for sale. Well, Community Health and Counseling introduced a pilot program today that they hope will be a win-win for both landlords and people transitioning from being unsheltered to getting into new housing. With money from Maine Housing, Community Health and Counseling plans to work as a sort of middleman between landlords that offer properties to people in transition that are already working with organizations in the community to help them get them into their rentals.
The goal is to have some financial resources to alleviate some of the barriers that prevent some of the landlords from maybe renting to this population, individuals who are currently unhoused and unsheltered.
Hamilton says that the money can be spent in a number of ways to help bridge the gaps in the process to getting people in transition into new housing. Now, everything from security deposit help to fixing up properties so they can qualify for the program could all be services they provide. Well, at the Maine Climate Council meeting today at Colby College, Governor Janet Mills announced new climate investments that will help protect Maine communities and create good-paying, clean energy jobs. Matthew Juronsik has more.
We will be the generation that protects this precious place we call home so that future generations may live in a Maine that is as beautiful and bountiful as it is today.
On the second anniversary of Maine Won't Wait, which is the name of the state's climate action plan, Governor Janet Mills set forth more than $6 million to help make Maine a clean state.
First, I'm investing an additional $2.9 million for 91 Maine communities to benefit from our Community Resilience Partnership. Secondly, I'm investing another $2.5 million from my Maine Jobs and Recovery Plan in workforce grants to 9 organizations in Maine as part of our Clean Energy Partnership.
According to Maine Climate Council co-chair Hannah Pingree, she says the 4-year plan has goals that are far-reaching into the future with the intention of reducing emissions and to help combat climate change.
The plan has sparked all kind of action all over Maine. So everything from a record number of heat pump deployments, energy efficiency, weatherization. Obviously there's a lot of work to do to prepare Maine for the kinds of changes we're seeing, but it's very heartening to see so much action happening across the state.
And even in the midst of planning for a clean future, Efficiency Maine Trust Executive Director Michael Stoddard says these investments may not show their effects immediately.
It's going to be a tough winter. I think everyone should prepare themselves for the fact that these high energy prices are here to stay for this winter. I don't think that they will last long past this year, but we got to all do the best we can and pull together.
Matthew Juronsik, ABC 7 and Fox 22.
Well, still to come on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, President Biden hosts French President Macron for a state dinner as the two leaders speak about their agreements and disagreements. And some major Chinese cities have announced lifting or easing of lockdowns after demonstrators have been clashing with police in protest against the communist nation's zero COVID. All of those stories and much more when we come right back.
$7.8 million. That's how much I made home sellers in the past 2 years. Planning on selling? I'm Holly Taylor. Come to the one who gets it done. HollyTaylor.Realtor.
On a day like this, you may be glad your AAA membership gets you great travel deals to warm places, or that AAA can get you discounts on a new pair of snow boots, or could even save you hundreds on auto insurance. But mostly, on a day like this, be glad you have a AAA membership for the legendary 24/7 roadside assistance. Over 50 million members rely on AAA, America's largest motor club and most highly recommended major roadside assistance provider. We answer over 32 million roadside calls from members every year. We're always with you, getting you back on the road fast, covering you in any car, whether you're the driver or passenger. And that's important on a day like this. The gift of AAA membership is now just $53. We'll waive the admission fee and add a second family member for free. Plus, you'll get a $20 Visa gift card. That's a combined value of $118, now only $53 through this limited time offer. Call or visit AAA.com/AAA gift.
If you've been hurt in a car accident, watch out.
Watch out. The insurance company may try to tell you that you don't need a lawyer.
Watch out. The insurance company may try to settle before you're done with all your medical treatments.
Don't trust that insurance company after your accident. You could miss out on a lot of money. Call the twos and we'll watch out for you.
Lowry & Associates watched out for me and got me $275,000.
Call the twos. We win for you.
If you're hurt in an accident, what do? Call 222-2222.
Saturday on Fox.
It's Captain America to the rescue.
After their heroic victory against Iran, Team USA's World Cup journey continues into the knockout round.
A moment of magic.
Now, Christian Pulisic leads the Stars and Stripes
Devilishly good.
as they face another must-win battle with European giants, the Netherlands.
Wow!
USA, Netherlands. Coverage begins Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern, live on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
When selling your home, knowing your options could make you tens of thousands of dollars. That's what I do for my clients. I'm Holly Taylor. Come to the one who gets it done. HollyTaylor.Realtor.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
The first state dinner of the Biden administration is underway tonight. While the lavish affair is a symbol of the U.S. and French relationship, the two presidents also had a lot of thorny issues to discuss. Fox's Lauren Blanchard has more.
Dinner and diplomacy. The Bidens hosting their very first state visit, welcoming French President Emmanuel Macron and the First Lady to the White House. While the evening was glitz, celebrities, and smiles, earlier the two presidents discussed how the two countries can work together to aid Ukraine against Russia.
President Macron and I have resolved that we're going to continue working together to hold Russia accountable for their actions and to mitigate the global impacts of Putin's war on the rest of the world.
President Macron says he is planning to speak to Russian President Putin soon. But for President Biden,
I'm prepared to speak with Mr. Putin if, in fact, there is an interest in him deciding he's looking for a way to end the war. He hasn't done that yet.
the news conference also showed where they disagree. President Macron expressed concern about recent spending bills pushed by President Biden that have clean energy initiatives that prioritize American-made technology over European.
We're back in business. Europe is back in business. And we're going to continue to create manufacturing jobs in America, but not at the expense of Europe.
It seems kind of hollow to me that he would be angered that the U.S. government was pursuing policies to create jobs at home and not in France.
President Biden said he is open to tweaks on the legislation that favors American technology and that it was never meant to exclude European manufacturers. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Well, in a related story, a seemingly well-intentioned gesture related to tonight's state dinner and its menu drew ire and a sharp response from Maine Congressman Jared Golden. The back and forth started with a tweet from CNN White House correspondent Kate Bennett, who talked about preparations for the state dinner, saying 200 live lobsters were shipped from Maine to the White House yesterday morning to prep the butter-poached lobster course of tomorrow night's state dinner. Golden took aim at President Biden in a response to that tweet, tweeting, quote, "If the Biden White House can prioritize purchasing 200 Maine lobsters for a fancy dinner, at POTUS should also take the time to meet with the Maine lobstermen his administration is currently regulating out of business," end quote. You can see below that Maine Lobstering Executive You can see that below, the Maine Lobstering Union Executive Director Ginny Olson also made her voice heard and echoed Representative Golden's sentiment, saying, quote, "It's time to meet with Maine lobstermen, President Biden," end quote. We confirmed through Congressman Golden's liaison that they know of no current plans for the president to meet with Maine lobstermen, but Representative Golden will continue to push for him to do so. Well, the Senate voted today to avoid a crippling railroad strike just before the holidays. Fox's Chad Pergram reports.
The joint resolution is passed.
A Christmas crisis avoided. The Senate voting 80-15 with one present as Congress intervened to prevent a national railroad strike for the first time in 3 decades. But pro-labor Democrats took a loss in the effort to salvage a shaky economy.
A strike or any kind of shutdown would hurt us at a time when our economy is just starting to show positive signs of recovery.
President Biden dispatched Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg and Labor Secretary Marty Walsh to Capitol Hill to warn pro-labor senators about the consequences of inaction. A liberal push for medical leave could have tanked the deal.
This amendment simply says 7 paid sick days for workers in the rail industry, and I hope we can win it.
But the paid medical leave couldn't overcome a filibuster.
If we had 60 votes in the Senate, it could possibly happen. But we don't have 60 votes in the Senate.
Lawmakers from both sides opposed congressional intervention in the labor dispute.
The main thing is, I don't know why we're having to do this, but we are, apparently. I want to make sure that we do no harm to the economy.
Some Republicans advocated another 2-month cooling off period.
It will give negotiators more time to get to an agreement.
But that effort failed as well. Rail workers get pay hikes in the agreement, but progressives downplayed that win for the unions.
The workers received a 24% increase in their wages. Sounds like a lot of money. They have not received a pay increase in the last 3 years.
Lawmakers needed to act fast. That's because firms would stop shipments like fertilizer and chemicals for drinking water over the weekend. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
In other news, there is major uncertainty from law enforcement concerning the massacre of 4 University of Idaho students 2.5 weeks ago. Police now say they don't know if the victims were specifically targeted, and this comes as investigators start to receive forensic testing results. Fox's Christina Coleman has more from Moscow, Idaho.
It's definitely confusing, and we're just kind of hoping that we get some answers soon.
Moscow police threw people for a loop last night when they said they did not know if 4 University of Idaho students murdered more than 2 weeks ago were victims of a targeted attack. That was a major reversal from what they have been saying.
We've told the public very clearly from the beginning that we believe it was a targeted attack.
But by this morning, they reversed themselves, saying that they do indeed believe this was a targeted attack. The back and forth leaving both students and local residents confused and worried.
Hearing this gives me kind of a pause to think back and forth, like what is our sense of safety here in Moscow?
I don't like it one bit.
Steve Gonzalez is the father of Kaylee, one of the 4 victims. Grieving his daughter's loss, he is frustrated.
I know these statements take like hours and multiple individuals to review. It's not like this was something said on the side of the street within the first 5 hours of the case.
Meantime, the community continues to grieve. The University of Idaho held a candlelight vigil to honor the slain students. Parents of 3 of the victims spoke from the heart.
I want to remind you
that that's the most important message that we have for you and your families, is to make sure that you spend as much time as possible with those people, because time is precious and it's something you can't get back.
Madison Mogan's father is urging people to come forward if they can help with the investigation.
If anyone knows anything, just please just help out and just give us some closure and some so we can move on and get through these days a little easier.
Also, there's some progress in this investigation. Idaho State Police say detectives are starting to receive test results from some of the forensic evidence in this case. Reporting in Moscow, Idaho, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
Well, some of the world's toughest COVID-19 restrictions have eased, China making a change just days after massive protesting. Fox's Amy Kellogg has more on that story.
China appears to bow to public pressure and eases some of its toughest COVID-19 restrictions. Strict COVID testing requirements, police patrols, and quarantine rules, all easing up in Shanghai, Beijing, and at least 6 other major cities. This has allowed some supermarkets, restaurants, gyms, and transit systems to resume normal business. In Beijing, newspapers are reporting some people can even isolate at home, avoiding crowded quarantine centers. Zhengzhou, home to Apple's largest iPhone factory, is also back open. It all comes shortly after the Chinese government detained hundreds of people protesting China's COVID lockdowns.
No matter what happens, this protest will make the Chinese government have a second thought on their policy.
China also defending its COVID response amid mounting criticism.
The U.S. is in no position to point fingers at China's COVID-19 response. What the U.S. needs to do is seriously respond to the appeal of its own people and handle its own affairs properly.
It's unclear how China plans to punish those who were detained, but U.S. lawmakers are already calling on the White House to release stronger messaging condemning China's actions.
Xi will stop at nothing to protect his rule, to protect the Chinese Communist Party, and to ensure that they remain in charge.
While China's major cities have seen a change in COVID restrictions, much of the rest of the country remains under the toughest regulation, and it's not clear when or if that will change. In London, Amy Kellogg, Fox News.
Well, the world's largest active volcano continues to spew lava on Hawaii's Big Island. Now, the molten rock is moving closer to a major road. Fox's William LaJeunesse has more.
Lava from Hawaii's Mauna Loa inched closer to a major highway on Thursday. It is now just 3.1 miles from Saddle Road, which connects the east and west sides of the island. The U.S. Geological Survey estimates at the current rate, lava could impact the highway in the next week.
The terrain is what's slowing it down, there's no doubt about it. It's also getting more distant from the vent, so it cools.
Even as the lava slows, the volcano remains a major tourist attraction. Onlookers flock to the highways surrounding Volcanoes National Park to view the eruption. But officials are now concerned that could become a safety issue, as 18-wheelers going 60 miles an hour share the road with looky-loos pulled off on the berm. While officials try to secure additional viewing sites, there are roadblocks.
There's federal issues, and then there's issues with the condition of the road. If you have people going out there, we have safety issues.
Health officials say air quality remains the biggest threat as Mauna Loa continues spewing sulfur dioxide. For now, scientists say the lava does not pose an imminent danger to homes downslope.
The biggest threat we worry about is the lava flows reaching populated areas. This is not something that the authorities are particularly concerned about right now.
So if Saddle Road is closed, that's a problem. The cut-through is 40 minutes compared to 2.5 hours along the coast. With tourists soon to arrive at hotels and resorts, travel there this Christmas may not be so merry. In Los Angeles, William LaJeunesse, Fox News.
Well, still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, the Bangor Humane Society is trying to find a home for the last of 3 adorable dogs that were recently found abandoned in a storage facility. And in sports, Maine women's hoops back from a tough West Coast road trip, and it doesn't get any easier as they're preparing to face Princeton on Friday. We'll be right back.
Third-ranked Michigan looks to punch their ticket to the playoffs as they battle Purdue. The Big Ten Championship, Saturday at 7:30 Eastern on Fox.
Let me ask you a question. Do you do it every night? I mean, every night? Well, Jordan's customers do, and you could too. Come visit Bridget, get fitted for the right mattress, and you'll do it every night too, getting a great night's sleep.
It wasn't just a little bit of soot on an old family photo. It wasn't just a couple of books soaked in water. And when you called Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration, you were not just another customer. That family photo hangs high yet again, and those irreplaceable first editions stay cemented in history. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest. Statewide commercial and residential services. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration.
Welcome to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop in Brewer.
And some call me the King.
There are RC trucks, cars, crawlers, and parts aplenty. There are planes, metal detectors, and gear galore. I have decreed that all people can book birthday parties with their RC vehicles provided for all. We have indoor and outdoor tracks and crawling courses available. Bring yourself, your family, and friends to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop, South Main Street, Brewer.
When the Katahdin General Store wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Come to the KG for fishing, hunting, and camping supplies, souvenirs, unique gifts, apparel like Lazy One, fresh sandwiches and baked goods, the beer cave, liquor, and a variety of takeout items. Great things are always cooking at the Ground. New menu, new specials, with an amazing variety of choices for every taste. Good times, great service, and amazing food. Only at your locally owned Ground, Odland Road, Bangor.
Let's go.
Deck the halls with celebs and Harvey.
Join us for TMZ.
Merry Elvis Christmas!
It's the year's top stories.
I started with Amber Heard, but then started siding with Johnny Depp.
As we kiss and tell under the mistletoe.
Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker. Stunning wedding.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
I like him.
I met him. He is into older women. 27-year-old Gigi Hadid. Can I reveal a secret?
We all know, Hard. TMZ's Merry Elfin Christmas, Monday on Fox.
Dear Elliot, we thought purchasing a mattress would be confusing, but the experience at Jordan Sleep Lab was really different and easy. We are now doing it every night, getting a great night's sleep every night. Thank you.
Experience the difference at Jordan.
Welcome back. Northern Light Acadia Hospital hosted their second annual Lights of Life holiday tree lighting today. The lights cast a warm glow on the front lawn of Northern Light Acadia Hospital in Bangor. Employees gathered to enjoy music and treats in celebration of the event. Now, the lights on the tree were purchased with various levels of donations to honor or remember those who have suffered mental illness, and the funds will support care provided at the hospital.
Recognizing folks with chronic illnesses in our space, but also bringing more attention to a very important illness. We saw that through COVID, obviously, the importance of managing mental illness and really getting to our younger folks in particular. So this is as much as not only recognizing those that we have lost, but also thinking about our future generations and making sure people know that we're here.
Well, donations can be made at northernlighthealth.org/Acadia Lights. Members of the public can view a full video of the tree lighting on the Acadia Hospital's Facebook page. Nearly $750,000 is going to 3 counties in Maine to help increase mental health resources and alleviate the pressure on law enforcement. Senators Angus King and Susan Collins announced the money is going to Waldo, Knox, and Cumberland counties. The funding comes from the 2022 Connect and Protect Law Enforcement Behavioral Health Response Program. The senators say the money will enhance emergency service providers' ability to safely respond to a mental health crisis. It will also help to divert more mental health calls to the appropriate service providers. Well, a little update here pertaining to the weather. This year's Festival of Lights Parade in Bangor will be going on as planned. There are concerns about the rainy weather that is expected for Saturday, but the organizers say it's not going to dampen the fun. They're encouraging folks to dress for the conditions to help welcome the holiday season in Bangor.
It's rain or shine, and we totally respect it if a participant decides they don't want to March in the Rain. However, the biggest challenge of rescheduling that we've run into is staffing, primarily city staffing, and of the event.
The Festival of Lights Parade will kick off at 4:30 on Saturday, followed by a tree lighting ceremony in West Market Square. The Bangor Road